Hi everyone, if you're watching this video on the app, then that means you've already taken a really important step into becoming a much more accurate Cue Sport player. I'm here with Steve Feeney, inventor of the SiteRight technology that's currently sitting in my new Cue and hopefully in yours too. So Steve, I've got my new Cue, I've got my app, I'm a pretty reasonable player, but I want to become a better player. How do we start?
Let's see how you address the shot, and then using your Cue, it will show you if you're sighting correctly.
So what you've basically done, Steve, for the first time ever, you've kind of put sights into a Cue.
What I'd like you to do is to place the Cue on the table along the line of aim of this shot.
Okay, what do you mean by line of aim?
Right, the line of aim of the dead straight shot is through the centre of the cue ball, through the centre of the object ball, into the fall of the pocket.
How I would usually approach this shot, so I'm holding the Cue out, I'm going through the centre of the cue ball, the centre of the two ball, and aiming for the centre of the far pocket. Is that right?
Now when doing that, make sure that the SiteRight technology in your Cue is facing dead straight upwards. Now look down at the SiteRight in the Cue and tell me what you see.
Okay, so I'm looking down at the two white lines, which are the SiteRight technology. This is basically your aiming device in your Cue.
Yeah.
Now what I can see at the moment is that those two lines don't make a complete straight line.
Exactly.
They're broken.
And similar to sights on a gun, what this is showing you is whether or not you are seeing along that line of aim dead straight.
So the first thing the Cue's done, and the first thing the SiteRight technology has shown me, is that I am not sighting correctly. I am currently looking at a straight shot across the table when my eyes are actually aiming over to the right.
Yes.
So how do I put it right?
Right, so what the Cue will do is show you how to correct that. So what I'd like you to do is to hold the Cue out straight along the line of aim. Now position your body behind the Cue in such a way that when you look at the SiteRight lines, they're both joined.
Okay, so for me, I've moved across. If I'm looking straight down, I now have one straight line. The centre of the pocket, the SiteRight technology, the cue ball, the two ball, and the far pocket.
And this is showing your start position in terms of your pre-shot sighting routine for every shot in future.
Okay, so really, for all the years I've been playing Cue Sports, I've been standing completely incorrectly. I mean, the great thing about this, guys, is instantly I've got a physical check every time I go into a shot. It couldn't be any simpler than having just one straight line. If the lines don't meet, I know I'm offline. If the lines are straight, I already know that I'm going into this shot with a much greater chance of potting it.
Yes.
What's the next thing I do?
Okay, so from here, we've learned to ensure that you're sighting straight through the line of aim on your sighting line for the pot. Now what we have to do is to step into the shot to do two things. One, to drop the butt of the Cue on line, and two, to give you a nicely aligned technique when down on the shot, your stance.
Okay, so what Steve is showing me is very much a quick start guide to how you use your SiteRight technology. The SiteRight app that comes with your Cue explains what Steve has shown me in much more detail, and also will show you instances where you may be a left-handed player or left-eye dominant or even-eyed. The golden rule here is that everyone has their own individual sighting line, but by using the SiteRight technology in your Cue, you can instantly see where you've been going wrong for all these years.
What we now have to do is help you move into your stance, but technically keeping the butt of the Cue on the line of aim.
So wherever I step, it's very important that this Cue will still stay on that line of aim, which was from my sighting line with the lines joined up.
When you're stepping into the shot, it helps make sure that you neither step too far or that you don't step far enough.
Okay, so that's important. So if I was to step too far, then I would end up aiming across the line.
It's like, if you imagine, whichever way we look at it, when our body moves, if we've got something hinged to it, it will follow. So if you step too far across that cue ball in your technique as you move into your stance, the butt of the cue will follow you and will be difficult to land on the line. Equally, if you don't step far enough, the butt of the cue will eventually hang back.
Wow, guys, it really is that simple. So what we've done, guys, we've given you a very quick start guide to using your brand new Cue with SiteRight technology. What the app does covers in far more detail those points that Steve has taken me through, but also will lead on to some really important practice routines where you can see some of the world's best snooker players who use SiteRight technology using practice routines that you can replicate on your table across any Cue Sport to to make you a much more accurate Cue Sports player.